Welcome to the Aligned Powerhouse, the podcast for executive women who are done leading from burnout and ready to rise from alignment. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany McGeehan, licensed psychologist, high performance and mindset coach, and guide for high-achieving women who are ready to lead, live, and love without abandoning themselves. Here, we unpack the nervous system truths, mindset shifts, and emotional patterns that drive your leadership so you can build power from the inside out.
Welcome back to today's episode.
it.
Okay, I am cracking up. I love my audience. Today, I am speaking to the woman who self-identifies as being the smartest woman in the room. And you might not be doing it out loud. You might not actually admit this, maybe even to yourself, but you look around a room and you are like, everyone else is slower. Oh my God. I am the smartest person in this room. I am infuriated by being the person who moves the quickest. Okay. So if you are like blushing a little bit, or you're like, it is me, and I have the curse of being the most intelligent person on my team. Okay. I'm talking to you today. Today is a love letter to you. Okay. So really what we are talking about is when you have more intelligence, more problems, but actually you have now become the team bottleneck. Like your competence has become the team bottleneck. Okay. That is what we are talking about. And toward the end of the episode, y'all know how I roll. We are going to walk through some tactical steps that you can walk through if this is something that you want to shift. Because here's the reality is that what I hear my clients struggling with, where my brain can go to, is associating and thinking that this is a business issue, thinking this is a team issue or a communication issue. So if I am always having to repeat myself and my team struggles with follow through, or no matter how clear I am, they're just not doing what I'm telling them to do. They're not moving quick enough. And so I have to come behind them and pick up the slack. Everyone associates this as being a communication issue, or what my clients hear a ton, what you hear a ton, if you're listening to this, is your expectations are just too high. You need to be more realistic, right? And really what that means is I need you to close your mouth and not complain, but continue to be a part of the system in the way that you are. Because here's the other thing I know about you. If you raised your hand and you were like, it is I, like I am the smartest, is that you're also cleaning up a lot of messes for everyone around you. Okay. You are just as much a part of this dynamic, and you are also the key to shifting it. So let's get into it. Okay. So here's the thing that I want you to know. If you feel as though everyone around you is underperforming, there is a 100% chance that it is actually because you are overperforming. And not in the way that you think. So before you turn this episode off and you're like, forget you, here's what I want you to know. You actually have a very unique set of challenges in front of you that no one likes to talk about, because no one likes to admit, like, I don't know what is up with our current society, but we have a really hard time admitting that there are some individuals who are more intelligent, who are quicker, who are this, who are better than others at certain skills. We jump in and we want to coddle everyone and be like, no, you're good at things too. Like, yes, that's true. But the reality is there's a bell curve. Okay. There is a skew. There are different levels of intelligence and cognitive abilities within that intelligence that everyone sits somewhere on. And if you are someone who is overperforming, you have actually been underserved from my perspective within the mental health industry. And truly the issue is that you're too good at your job and you're continuing to use a different set of skills that you really need to like let go of or sit down. Like you need to learn how to contain them. And act your current role versus acting as I will do anything, let's get this done. Now, hear me out. There's a time and a place, and we're going to get into this because I work with women who really are operating in incredibly high stakes situations, meaning if they do not step in and solve an issue because their team is moving too slow, they didn't get the numbers to the person that they needed to go to, whatever, if this report doesn't get out on time, there are billions of dollars on the line, right? Like we're talking project managers over huge bukus of money. And there are very real financial consequences if something doesn't get done. Okay? I hear that. I get that. This is where some discernment is going to come into play. Because what I see is that women are applying this idea of this is life or death. This is a huge deal. And they go and they apply this to every single fire that they are coming into contact with, which if you are in any kind of position of leadership or management, that is simply not the case. Not everything is a fire, even if it feels like it is in your body. So here's the belief that is driving every behavior in this woman's life, in your life, not just at work, but also at home. If I don't step in, everything will fall apart. Think about the cognitive level of someone who genuinely believes this. It's a very black and white statement. If I do not step in, everything will fall apart. Y'all, I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how quick you are not God. And there's always more than one way to solve a problem. While yes, if we are in a Q4 crunch and we're trying to get numbers out, or we're really trying to get this deal done so we can hit our numbers, and it has massive impact on, I don't know, salaries, like raises or bonuses or whatever, that is not the case for every single deal. And specifically, if you're in a place of leadership, meaning your job is to train your team, to lead them, to guide them, not to fix everything, you really need to be practicing some discernment, because the more you step in, the more you're stunting your team. Here's the other thing that I see is I know for a fact that if you operate that way at work, I guarantee you operate that way in your marriage, and you operate that way in your parenting. Now, what we are seeing right now as a society is that we have swung from being emotionally neglectful into this era of therapy on TikTok, and everyone has an opinion, and here's how you should actually be doing it. And what we're seeing is that children are being coddled, and it's showing. They are not being challenged. They're not being given opportunity to develop their own skill sets on their own. Therefore, they're not developing them, right? If you are someone who's hanging on to this belief, that black and white, and it's also become fused with your identity, then you are also stunting your children at home. Okay, here's what I want you to believe instead to start working on this, is that my intelligence becomes leadership only when I stop absorbing the consequences for others. Now, I was having this conversation with a friend last week, and we were talking about, what really goes into the cultivation and the life experience of a woman who genuinely moves faster than other people. She is smarter. She is quicker. She is overdeveloped. And now she's sitting on a team, right? The biggest thing that showed up is they clean up the messes for everyone. And so the issue actually is not her. The issue is that the system doesn't have a consequence, because she's going to fix it. She's going to overcorrect. Okay. So I really want you to know that this episode is not about shrinking. It's not about being softer or being warmer, lowering your expectations. No, it is about being way more precise with your power, with your discernment, and with your intentional behaviors in the way that you move in certain spaces. Okay? So again, I am talking to the woman who is anticipating the needs before they are spoken. You are the person who sees the downstream problems instantly. I will be so explicit and honest here. I hired this woman. My team that supports me behind the podcast, behind retreats, behind just all of my endeavors, they are made up of this woman, right? Now they are made up of this woman who's a little bit more conscious, has boundaries, all the things. But I will tell you why is because I do not see downstream all the time, depending on the situation. Where I do not see, especially from an operational perspective, I couldn't tell you how my decision to not follow the SOPs, procedures, is going to impact the next person. And so I surround myself with people specifically in the operations world who's going to be able to see those things very quickly and can establish what the consequence will be if I do not follow these rules, right? For you, as this woman, it comes quote unquote naturally, right? You see the downstream problems and you understand how this is going to affect someone else, right? You have mentally run 5 scenarios while the rest of the team is still orienting and trying to understand what this new project is. Okay. Typically you appear to be the calmest, clearest, and most capable person in the room. Now, usually you are the most capable person in this room, but the way that you are staying calm and clear is actually typically a trauma response. Okay, I'm going to jump in here really quick because if this episode is feeling uncomfortably accurate, here is the truth. Insight alone is not going to help you rewire this. The Elite Leader is a bespoke retreat where we slow this work down, really truly move it through your nervous system to where it is automatic and systematized so that you stop carrying what is not yours. It is small, immersive, and luxury, and it is built for high-performing women who are done managing everything. The waitlist link is in the show notes. I will see you there. Okay. And let me tell you, if we were in school together, if we were growing up together, I loved being in your group. I loved working with you on a group project, okay, because I knew that you were going to come through. You were also the ones that the teachers looked to be a helper and to know things, right? So let's talk about the exhaustion that it goes into. It is tiring being the smartest woman in the room, okay? These women are exhausted. You are exhausted. You're tired and you may not even realize it because it's not even an option. You are so driven from this incredible asset that is your mind that you don't even realize until you sit still long enough or until your health starts to reflect it or something big shows up in your life, right? There's an accident or someone falls or a parent dies that really brings to the surface all these little things you've been ignoring, okay? But I want you to know you're not making it up. You're not crazy. You're not too much just because you're exhausted from the real experience that everyone around you is underperforming. Or that you are constantly having to repeat yourself, or from living in this truth and idea that if I do it, it's just going to get done faster. And realistically, it's going to be better. Okay. So let's walk through a little. Let's have a little story time. Okay. Story time with a woman. We're going to call her Alex. So Alex runs a high stakes team because who in my world doesn't? Okay. She runs a high stakes team. She is CRO. So she is responsible for the numbers, driving growth, understanding, essentially being this is a massive, I feel like someone's going to get crabby at me for saying this. I think about CROs as being the weatherman of the finances in a business. Okay. They're helping to explain, they're anticipating issues, they're running financial forecasting, all of these things. She is Alex is amazing at anticipating. Numbers are her jam. It's where she thrives. And she's really, really good at stepping in early, even amongst different departments,
because she wants to help. She sees this issue. She's seen the writing on the wall. She wants to step in and support her team in the way that she can. She also has a habit of fixing things quietly. Okay. And here's the other thing that I know about Alex and that I've seen in my time with her, right, is that she's exhausted. Every time I talk to her, like, she is complaining about something. She's talking about a meeting that ran over and that no one respects her boundaries, and that her boss just put another project on her plate and she's not being compensated for it. And meanwhile, she can't find any time to work out. There's strain in her marriage that she really hasn't made any like progress toward. And this is someone who, like, I love and respect this person, and she really values, she says that she values, right, self-help. The reality is she values being seen as someone who values self-help because she values being seen as better than. It's part of her identity. It's not actually something that she values, because let me tell you what I think of when I meet someone as a client. I always say, show me your calendar and show me your finances, and I will tell you what you value, right? Do you value making money? Do you value things, items? Do you value dopamine because you're always out and about and doing things? Do you value being seen as overly busy, and productivity is a piece of that? Right? Or do you actually value stillness? I can tell you that Alex did not. Alex valued being seen a certain way, and she got a hit, right? She got like a dopamine hit every time she got a new biohacking hack to try, or she got a new crystal, or she had a new challenge that she wanted to face. But in terms of her actual calendar, she actually didn't value growth. And so she, she's having these conversations with me, and we're walking and we're chatting, and, she's sharing, that like, I am helping, I'm giving so much, and I see all of these things. And I don't know why this manager that I'm talking to doesn't get it, but like, they don't. Or why this team member just doesn't understand that this is what needs to happen from the numbers perspective in order to put us where we need to be. What she was actually doing was going in and over functioning and anticipating needs and then meeting those needs over and over and over again. And she was swimming and seeping with resentment. What she was doing was she was removing any sort of consequence that didn't feel good, that would teach her team or her partner how to think or how to experience failure. Because what do you mean? I'm CRO. I'm responsible. It's going to come back on me. And there's reality to that. There is 100% reality to, if you are living in corporate America, that your team is a reflection of you. So again, choices to be made, right? Because here's the other reality, is that she was a cog in that system, and she continued to push it over and over and over again. And I can tell you, someone with my personality type is like, if you're not going to set a boundary with me, like, why would I change something that feels good, right? Here's the kicker, is it actually feels good to Alex as well. She had to really disentangle her sense of identity from being run down. But it was uniquely challenging because her set of skills, her level of intelligence actually made it harder for her to contain versus just stepping in and doing it and being done with it and moving on, right? So this is honestly, like, this is really the heart of this episode. This is what we're talking about, is that if you are the woman who is the most intelligent person in this space, your hardest skill to learn, your area of growth, isn't doing something. It's not a freaking SOP. It's not another procedural manual. It's not finding a more effective way to communicate with different personality types. It's not ensuring that documentation is where it needs to be and circling back to make sure there's no questions. No, your hardest job is containment. Because again, this, y'all know how I roll. This started growing up
fixing things, doing things. You are literally going to have the experience of having to sit on your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that is running all of these scenarios. You need to go sit on it. You need to learn how to tell it to keep its hands to itself and understand that early career skills, and this isn't just corporate America, this is like building a business too, right? I talk with tons, oh my gosh, I have had conversations with thousands of business owners who are saying they want to scale when they do not have the infrastructure to scale, and they don't have interest in running themselves like a company versus a small business, right? This is something I see time and time again because it takes time, it takes slowing down, like it is challenging to go from small business mind and leveraging the skills that helped you to build this business in the first place, or early career skills, right? Is the translation here. What I see here is execution, speed, problem solving. You need to be the quickest and the smartest in the room. And if you're smart and you know how to finesse it, this is where you start climbing, right? That's where you start getting promoted into a management role. This is where you start getting noticed by upper leadership, so on and so forth, right? Is by these glimmery, shiny little skill sets over here. Or this is where you get really good at what service it is or product it is that you are offering. And you start building visibility and you start building repeat clients, right? Is through this execution speed, problem solving. This is what builds reputation. And reputation is what builds visibility. I don't care where you work. That is true. Okay. Versus if you are moving into, or you have moved into a place of now managing this team, or if you are even farther up and you are up in C-suite and you're really in charge of like vision and overall like holding a company, right? Like the game just changes. Or if you're looking to scale, you're looking to hire someone, you are looking to, in some way, shape, or form, you want to step out of service-based delivery, right? Your skill set has to change. Now, your job is containment. It is discernment, and the hardest thing, and this is true in parenting too, is tolerating that discomfort that comes with containing and discerning, saying, this is a situation, a scenario where I need to step in. I need to step in and fix this because the consequence is too great for me to be able to tolerate. This is not a learning experience. Now this is my job to step in. But if you can go through your checklist and understand, I have communicated clearly, it is documented, this person understands what it is that I expect from them, and they still are falling behind, it is time to go sit on your hands and let them crash and burn. If your team does not experience consequences, healthy, not out of the blue, right? The consequence should be there. And I'll jump over here for a second and talk about parenting. Both of my children really enjoy jumping off of things. Okay. Again, at the time of this recording, my son is just about 2 years old. My daughter's about 3.5. And there are certain situations where they really want to jump off of a chair. They want to jump off of a mattress. Now, I am the parent who's a little bit less anxious about those specific things versus my husband. He sees where things could go wrong easier than I do, right? We make a really good team in that way. But there are absolutely instances where like I see that my son is about to jump off of something and it's probably going to freaking hurt when he does it. I also know, and this is where again we make a decision, I also know he's not going to break anything. There's nothing that's going to do massive damage to him. I just know it's not going to feel good, right? I see it coming. I see it. He's got his little mischievous grin on his face, or I see this for my daughter and I'm going to give him a heads up. I might give him a heads up depending, right? If I give him a heads up, and this translates over into corporate, but like, it might be something like, hey, FYI, if you jump off of that, it's probably going to hurt. Or like, ooh, I wonder if your body's feeling safe right now, friend. Or I might just keep my mouth shut. because I've already told them in the past, or they've already fallen off of it, or whatever it is, right? I'm going to allow them to experience the natural consequence that comes from the decision that they are making. This is how we learn boundaries. This is how we learn accountability. This is how we learn responsibility. This is how we learn to stop being so codependent on a team and to really take into account the truth that you have ownership and accountability over a piece of a project. If you never let your team fail, then they are never going to change. If you always jump in and fix things, then you are coddling your team. You're stunting them. You're not ready to be in a place of leadership. And I can picture the cringes here and that. But you're not, because you are overly identified with this early career skill set that is execution speed, problem solving. FYI, all of those things are little dopamine hits because we feel good when we hit our number. We feel good when we are seen as the hero and the person who's jumping in to save the day. There's no dopamine hit in practicing containment. There's no dopamine hit in practicing discernment and knowing in this moment, I'm going to step in and I'm going to rescue, but then I'm going to have a conversation about this. Or this is a situation where I'm going to let them crash and burn and I'm not fixing it for them, right? That is hard. And that is a skill set that is underdeveloped in this woman who is so incredibly intelligent, is the ability to actually sit in your body and write out the anxiety, write out the guilt, write out the discomfort, right? Because at a certain level, your job stops being about solving problems and it starts being about deciding who should feel the weight of them. Otherwise, I don't know why you have a team. Otherwise, I don't know why you have any interest in trying to raise humans. You don't. You have more interest in continuing to feel good about yourself and creating these projects and these issues and all these things on your own. And this is also where I talk with business owners about what do you actually want and do you understand what it will take you to get there? I talk with especially because mental health, that's my industry, right? My training. And I will have, this has happened a million times. I have therapists who come up and they say, oh my gosh, I love what you have built. This is amazing. And they see it from the outside. They see the branding and they see the projects and the retreats and all the things on social media, or they see me speaking and they're like, that is sexy. I want it. And what I ask them is what are you willing to put into it? If I'm even entertaining the conversation, to be super honest, I don't always, because what I have found is that people want the end product. They don't want to do the work. So when I hear someone say, or they kind of pull back a little bit and I tell them, this is years and years and years of investment in myself, my own personal growth, but also business development, because I didn't get that in school. And now it's doing the very unsexy work of codifying the methodology that I am using. And that is slow, because to do it correctly, I have to have a friend who is helping me, who is an insane genius, intellectual terrorist. I love her. But for me, it's very intuitive. And for her, she can name things, right? So I have made the decision we scaled way too quickly. I got really tired last year, shut some things down, closed a lot of different offers, and instead have really grounded and reoriented in what it actually is. What is my owner's intent? Shout out to Jerisha Hawk, because she is the one who talks about this concept. Love her. Everyone should go listen to her podcast, by the way. All of her content is just super highly valuable. But what is your actual owner's intent? And if it is to scale and scale without burning out or burning your life to the ground, you better be ready to invest and do the work. And I will tell you, the number one skill set that I'm having to work on right now, you guessed it, is containment. To not be little miss, I'm going to run full speed ahead and I'm going to jump super fast before I am ready. No, it is coming back, and infrastructure is here. Now is codification here, step by step.
and then slowly building out that team of support, ensuring that contracts are in place, ensuring that expectations are in place, ensuring on my end, are we a good personality fit? And then watching to see how these things really write out. And for me, at the time of this recording, my capacity for business is limited. So the fact that I want to do it right and I want to truly do it means that we move slower. Being able to tolerate that discomfort is in service of my business every single time. And this is the part that I see missing. I hear people say they want to scale. They want to go from executive leadership to the actual C-suite. And I ask them why. And really what they're looking for is additional revenue. They want to get out of a place of discomfort. They're trying to avoid something versus trying to build something. And this will sink your ship every single time, because I will tell you, what is actually going to get you to this next level and succeed and stay regulated and connected and still having the thriving marriage is actually being able to tolerate the discomfort that you're running from in the first place. Okay. So here is what I want to give you a few questions to run through. Okay. And this is where, if you don't already have your journal out, right, time to pull it out. I'm going to give you 4 questions here that I want you thinking about. I want you actively primed with if you are someone who is identified with like, yes, it is I am the smartest person in the room. I am fixer of all things. FYI, I love you. But I also know that you do really well with black and white, like me too. So here are your questions I want you thinking about and running through as you're noticing this intensity show up that you want to respond to. Okay. So when you feel the urge to step in on a team project, or honestly in your marriage, and maybe it's like has to do with parenting, right? I want you to think about, one, is this a risk or is this a learning moment? And think about that really. I think about this a ton in my parenting, right? Is there genuine safety risk here? Is there genuine risk to the business or to whatever, right? Or is this a learning moment? And is this a lesson that my team needs to learn? Is this something that my kids are working on? FYI, they're absolutely working on like, how wild can I be and still be safe, right? They're pushing limits. It's healthy. Your second question is, who owns the consequence if I don't act? Here's the other thing that is so challenging in corporate America, and it's challenging in business too, right? Is that if you're in a place of leadership, you are signing up to accept the consequences of your team. And it really depends on what you want for your leadership and what you want for your business and what you want for your own growth, in terms of really thinking through who owns the consequences if I don't act. It might mean that you're going to go down with the ship. And so what does that mean? Is genuinely like, is your job on the line? In which case, like, yeah, I don't know, depending on the job, I'd probably try to like bail us out a little bit. Or if it's a job that I'm actually not very attached to, or it's one that, it would suck. And also it would not be the end of the world if this were to fail, right? This may be one where you hold back, but really getting clear about who is going to own the consequences if I don't act. Then circling back to, am I preventing failure or am I preventing growth? This is the one I want you to give a little star to, okay? Am I preventing failure or am I preventing growth? This is huge. And again, what does your team need in this moment? Is this lack of action or quick enough action? Is that the result of a lack of infrastructure support, in which case, like, yeah, you better step up and like support this team, right? Or is it that like they're just being little dinkuses and they're not listening and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing? Well, there might be more opportunity for they need to grow, like they have been given everything that they need. And now is the time to like where the rubber meets the pavement and they need to start actually acting on these things. Okay. And the biggest thing, and this is something, this is totally random. I learned this from working with a midwife to have both of my babies.
They're huge on education and how do you advocate for yourself, especially if you go into a hospital situation, which L&D nurses are like some of my favorite human beings on the planet Earth. And also there are doctors and there are other people who are tired. Like it's a helping profession. So my midwife was huge on really educating and building a mindset that was going to allow me to take a pause and breathe and be able to make an informed decision for myself versus allowing the system to like push me around, right? So what she taught and what I taught like anyone in leadership, especially if there's a sense of urgency, is what happens if I wait 24 hours? Now, obviously that was not the case when I was in labor. Duh. It was like, I need you to go step outside the room. What happens if I wait 30 minutes? But like in here in business and, leadership land, I want you to orient around what happens if I wait 24 hours and shift this. Maybe it is an hour in this scenario. Maybe we need an answer right now and it's game time. In which case, what happens if I wait 2 minutes? So I can go to the bathroom and I can have some space to myself. I can ground and then come in. And rather than moving from a place of reaction and regression, I can make a grounded decision that is in service of not only myself, but also my team. Right? Leadership is not absence. What I am saying is that leadership is about restraint. And here's the thing that, we don't think about, we don't talk about, we don't realize until you're doing it is, again, containment and restriction it's not an issue of knowing what to do. It's actually going and doing it. The reason for this is there's a nervous system deficit here, right? Anticipation is encoded in the body by feeling like anxiety. It feels urgent. I need to do it right now. Waiting feels really unsafe. Now I'm unmoored. Now I don't know what I'm doing. And it just feels tense and I feel heat and I feel movement. And then the issue is that we don't know what to do with that energy. We interpret these sensations in our body to mean that I need to go and actually fix this issue because that's what's going to make these little sensations in my body go away. But that's not actually true, right? The truth is you need to learn how to stay with that activation and ride it out. But this becomes incredibly challenging because for high performers, like stepping back does not feel neutral. It feels dangerous. And on top of that, typically your identity is tied to being needed. Your identity is tied to being competent and being the smartest person in the room, being the one that everyone can rely on. So now not only does my body feel like it's on fire, but also you're like taking away my sense of self. Can you see why this is challenging? Okay. This is a very, very challenging skill to learn when you're in a place of leadership, if your intelligence and your smarts is part of what has gotten you there, right? So what I want you to take away from this is the belief and the understanding that, I want you to have this idea that like, I don't want to cripple my team with my competence. If I could get you to like etch anything, right? Like on maybe it wouldn't be this, but like also kind of, I think it would be this, is that I will not cripple my team with my competence. Let them grow. Let them find things out for themselves. And for you, understand that you won't disappear. This is not meaning that you are disengaging. Instead, you are just allowing the system to actually evolve. And here's what you get from this, okay? You get to set down some of that resentment. You get to actually have a stronger team. Because yeah, they might fall a few times, once or twice or whatever, but the other thing I know about you is like you're freaking smart. We've already established that. If this team truly cannot deliver the result that is being expected, then there's an issue with the result expected or there's an issue with the team. You have the ability to discern the two of those things and you will handle it as it comes. As you continue to collect that data, you're intelligent. You know how to pivot. You cannot read the data though if you're too busy being reactive and sucked in. You also get the ability to have a more spacious and grounded leadership experience. And the other thing is that you get to experience genuine rest, genuine joy. And you don't have to sacrifice your life at home in name of this role or this career or this business that you have chosen to build. This is where you get to have capacity for both, but you can't have one without the other. Okay, if y'all found this helpful, I would love if you would send this episode to your smart bestie who is the one who needs to hear this message. And guys, I want to thank you for being here. I wish I said this at the beginning, but it is what it is. I do not take it lightly that you have chosen and honored me with the gift of your attention. There's so much information out there. There's so much stimuli that is constantly being put in front of us and vying for our attention. And what I know about you is you already have a ton on your plate. That's why you're here. You have a business, you have a company, you have expectations, you have a relationship that you cherish, you have children that count on you, you have experiences that you want to be doing, and I also know that you highly value self-care. So I want to make sure that I take a moment to really share with y'all what it means to me that y'all continue to show up week after week. I almost get emotional thinking about it, to be honest, because here's the thing about this podcast is it's growing and it's incredible, and it doesn't take a ton of lift from me other than to do something that I find incredibly pleasurable and joyful, and I think is just so much fun, which is coming and teaching and sharing and holding space with the community that I love, and that is so divinely in alignment with the season that I am in. And I just want you to know that you're a part of that, right? I don't get that without you continuing to come and believe in this message and believe that as women, we 100% get to ask for it all. And I very much believe that it is possible. And that's what I'm so passionate about. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you sincerely from my heart, from my community, from my family. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you on the next one.
Alrighty, friend, that is all for today's episode of the Aligned Powerhouse podcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And do me a favor, if this episode resonated, I want you to share it with another powerhouse woman in your life who is ready to lead and love from a place of self-trust. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a quick rating or review. It really does help more women find this work. New episodes drop every week. Until then, lead with self-trust and let yourself be seen.